I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fit podcast, the place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ. And today I just want to talk to those people who, like me, self sabotage, and how easily we do it and how we can do it without even thinking. I got a I got a phone call about a job opportunity, about orientation. And just because the orientation wasn't on the day that I wanted it to be on my mind instantly, without me even realizing it, my mind instantly went to, okay, this isn't, I need to find another job. They're not doing it as fast as I want. And it's so crazy how I keep going through the same, cycles. It's like, how many times does God need to tell me? How many times do the people around me need to tell me, hey, stop trying to do things on your timing? Stop trying to do things the way you want it. It's not going to always look the way you want it to look. And, so mine just like, so they tell me about orientation, and instantly I'm on Indeed trying to look for another job. And I just had to catch myself. I don't know what snapped me out of the trance that I was in, but something snapped me and out of it. And I was like, wait, what am I doing? Why am I sitting here trying to find something else just because orientation isn't on the day that I wanted to be on? And it's just like, how crazy am I? How silly am I to try to mess something up or try to fix something that's not broken? It just doesn't look the way I want it to look. And what I realize is that's that self sabotage. That's how quickly it can set in. It could be something as small as, okay, orientation isn't on the day that I wanted to be on. Okay, that means that this isn't a good opportunity. That means, and it's just like, whoa, wait, it doesn't mean that at all. It just simply means that orientation is on a day that you don't want it to be on, or it's not coming as quickly as you wanted to come. But the point is that it's coming. You have a set date. You know when it's happening. It is happening. It's official. You've done all your paperwork. You've gone through the onboarding process. You have your date to start. That's good enough. Just because it may not be the date that you want does not mean that it's not a good situation. Does not mean that it's not that you have to go out and find another situation or to do something else. No, you have it. Be still. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've done it. This is what you've been asking for. This is what you've been praying for. This is what you've been trying to find. You have it now. Just because it doesn't look the way you wanted it to look, or it isn't happening when you want it to happen, or whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that it's a bad situation and now you have to like rip this up and start all over again. No, you have it. You know what I'm saying? And so I just had to kind of tell myself, I had to keep telling myself. I mean, even right before I started doing this, the recording this episode, I was looking, and it's like I just had to keep reminding myself, like, hey, relax. You do have a job. You're going to start. It's just you may not start when you want to start, but hey, it's there. It's locked in. And man, it just kind of got me to thinking, because I was going with my mom to train, to go to the gym. And that's when it kind of hit me, like, man, it's nothing for me to put myself in a position where I can self sabotage something just because it doesn't look the way I wanted to look. And so, this episode is just like me talking about that, and also just trying to help people or warn people who go through similar things like me, that it's not going to always look the way you wanted to look. It's not going to always go the way you wanted to go. It's not going to always be on your timing and on your rhythm. Sometimes we have to take detours. Sometimes things change, things happen. You know what I'm saying? And we got to go different routes than what we wanted to. And that's okay. Do not sabotage things just because they don't look the way you want them to look. Now, if you get into it and something doesn't feel right, something doesn't just sit well in your spirit, that's totally different. But before you've even given it a chance, you're shutting it down just because it doesn't look the way you wanted it to look. It's like, I know me, myself, and the people like me who do that. we have to stop doing that, because sometimes we shut doors on potential blessings just because it's not moving the way we wanted to move, or it's not moving at the time that we wanted to move, whatever the case may be. And we have to realize that, man, life doesn't work that way. We're pushing against forces that are way stronger than us, that can push way harder than us. And sometimes we'll put ourselves in a position of where we take ourselves out of position. Sometimes we're in position, but because that position doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't feel right, or whatever the case may be, it doesn't look a certain way. Now we feel we need to change stuff. And I can honestly sit back and think probably about maybe 6 times that I've removed myself from a good position just because it wasn't the exact thing that I wanted, or it wasn't the exact way that I wanted, or the exact timing that I wanted. I put myself in bad positions, or I've taken myself out of runnings for good positions just because I want to be comfortable. I know that there was a time when I was working a job, and because I didn't want to work. I had nothing going on. I had nothing going on, but I just didn't want to work some overtime, or something like that. Something happened where there was some overtime available. Did not want to work it, um, and could have and should have. Like, looking back on it, should have. But I came up with this story instead of just being like, "Nah, I'm all right." I just came up with this story about something. I can't even remember what it was, but it was just something. I came up with this elaborate story about why I couldn't. And later on down the line, when a position opened up that I wanted, they were just like, "Oh, well, we just assumed that you didn't want the position because you had this going on in your life." And it was like the story that I had made up or whatever to get myself out of, doing the overtime. And it was just like, man, so many times I've put myself into, or either put myself into bad situations when I was in a good situation, or I've removed myself from being in a position to get something that I may have wanted down the line, all because of, I just want to be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I'm just fighting that discomfort. For the longest time, I did not want to be uncomfortable. Even now, there are times when I just don't want to be uncomfortable. I want everything to go the way I wanted to go, when I wanted to go, and how I wanted to go. And when things don't, I put myself in position to lose or to be without, because I don't want to be uncomfortable. And what I'm realizing is that's just life. That's part of life. That doesn't have to be your life, the whole time or your whole life, but that's a part of life. You have discomfort. There are going to be times in your life where you're starting something new, you're doing something new, you're going into this new phase, you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. You want this career, you want to go back to school, whatever it is. There's going to be discomfort there. There's going to be discomfort in every single new thing that you do when you get to new levels in life, new stages, new arenas that you go to in life. There is going to be discomfort. So you can't avoid it. And I think that's why, my life has kind of been at such a standstill for so long, is because I've been avoiding the discomfort, because I've been trying to fight against the discomfort, and every single turn that looks uncomfortable, I'm trying to pivot. I'm trying to turn. I'm trying to go in another direction. And sometimes the only way to go, if you're trying to avoid discomfort, is you either do one or two things. You either got to go backwards, or you got to stay where you are. And that's why I feel like my life has been at such a standstill and been so stagnant, is because I've avoided discomfort. And most of the time, probably say all the time, discomfort is a part of the path forward. You're going to experience some type of discomfort as you move forward, as you try to elevate in your career, or elevate in life, in your business, whatever, school, whatever. There's going to be discomfort because you're doing something new. you're having to face the unknown, the unexpected. You're going to experience things that you haven't experienced before because you're trying to go to places you haven't been before. So there's going to be discomfort in that. And when you're trying to avoid discomfort, again, you're either going to stand still because you finally found a place uh, in your life where everything in your life, in every parts of your life, feel comfortable. So you're like, okay, I'm staying here. I'm on this patch of land, this position that I'm in life. This is where I'm going to stay. Or because again, life just naturally moves forward, you're going to start to feel uncomfortable. So the only other thing to do when standing still, even sometimes standing still becomes uncomfortable because no matter how much you want to stand still and want to stay where you are in life, life moves on. So at some point at that job or in your marriage or as a parent, everybody else is moving around you. So naturally, you're going to move forward too. So now things are being placed in your marriage that wasn't there. Things are being placed in your job, at your job that wasn't there before. So as much as you would love to stand still and not move anywhere, everything and everyone else around you is progressing and moving forward. So the discomfort is going to come regardless. The only way to not be uncomfortable is to move backwards. So there are even times in life where standing still doesn't keep you from being uncomfortable. It may delay it, but it's not going to stop it. The only way to stop it is to move backwards. And how many people want to move backwards? I was one of those people who was moving backwards subconsciously. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I didn't even realize that I did not like um being uncomfortable so much that there were times when I was willing to move backwards or I was willing to stagnate just so I wouldn't have to be comfortable. And then there were times where I was thrown into situations where this is just, sometimes you get so caught up in the moment. And I'll give you an example of like me being so caught up in the moment and it leading to some type of progression that I wasn't looking for or whatever. So I was working a job and we would have morning meetings, morning safety meetings every day. Right, the pre-shift meetings, whatever you want to call it. So we would have those meetings every single morning, and they would just go over good, the bad things, just everything, things that are going well, who's get coming to visit, when we would have customers coming in to kind of look at what we're doing or the progress that we've made, whatever the case may be. So they go through all of that. So I think for the past couple of days, they had just been big on, talking about attendance, making sure that you're there, making sure that you're on time, making sure that, hey, you being on time means you're here in the meeting area, seated or standing, waiting on us at a certain time. I think it may have been like 7. I don't know, but that's on time. So you need to get here early, get through security checks, and be here. Because even as he was talking, there were people coming through security checks. He's like, see, this is late. Yeah, these people are considered late. Y'all are not on time. So just going over all that. So, and he'd been going through that for days, you know what I'm saying? And so after a while, he's just big talking about the attendance policy. Well, a part of the attendance policy was if you do like 3 consecutive months or something along those lines, or no, I think it was like 2 months. I can't remember, but it was like if you go 2 months with no call outs, half a point would come off. And then every month consecutive after that would be a whole point. And so this had to be like around March because I know in December of that previous year, I was out for like 4 days because I thought I had COVID. So this was around COVID time, 2020. So December 2020, I was out for like 4 days. And so I come back, go through it. So like I said, we're in like March now and none of my points had come off. And so I was kind of frustrated and annoyed of constantly hearing about, them giving us our points and pointing us for this and pointing us for that. And just out of frustration, I was like, I raised my hand. They called on me, and I was just like, well, y'all love telling us about this part of the policy. Well, what about the policy that, hey, if you're here for this amount of time consecutive, no call outs, no tardies, no late, whatever, points come off. They didn't even know that part of the handbook or the policy existed. They didn't know. So they just kind of like stumbling, bumbling, fumbling over their words because they didn't know that that was a thing. And so they were like, well, we'll get back to you, whatever. And so the next day they brought it up. They were like, he saw me, we made eye contact, and because he was like the warehouse manager. So he looked at me, we made eye contact, and he was like, hey, regarding the thing that we talked about yesterday, you're right. This is supposed to happen, or whatever. And one of the things that he said that did frustrate me, another thing that he said that did frustrate me, the when I brought it up the day before, he was like, what you want, a cookie? And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, actually, because if you feel the need to sit here and talk about day in and day out how important it is to be on time, how important it is to make sure that we're here on time, not just in the building, but in the building through security here in our meeting area, waiting on you to start the morning meeting, the safety meeting or whatever. Yeah, if you feel the need to say that 6, 7 times a day or for 6, 7 days in a row, you feel that, yeah, for the people who are here doing what they're supposed to be doing, being accountable, give me my cookie. If my cookie means that y'all are following the policy and making sure that these points that are supposed to be coming off are coming off, yes, I want that. Take them off because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't need you to be condescending to me. Just do what you're supposed to do. Like, you love going over one side of the policy, which is giving us the points for being late. I need you to read the other policy, even know the other side of the policy of, hey, when y'all are doing what you're supposed to be doing, you will be rewarded by points being taken off. And so when he said that, I was a little frustrated, and people, some of the other managers could see that I was frustrated. So they just came and talked to me. He's like, hey, calm down. We get it. Woo, woo, woo. So the next day, like I said, he looked at me, eye contact. He was like, yeah, you were right. We're going to start implementing, taking the points and all that stuff. So when we left the meeting that day, everybody was just coming up to me like, man, thank you. This, that. And so people were just coming to me like, hey, they told us we were supposed to be getting a raise. Um, we were supposed to be getting a raise or whatever the case may be. And I was like, yeah, they did say that, but I'm not thinking nothing of it. So a few months go by, people just continue talking to me about it. So after that day, after the day when he looked in the store, the warehouse manager looked at me and was like, yeah, you were right. So after that day, everybody's just coming up to me, like voicing opinions and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh man, that's crazy. I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm just like thinking that they're just wanting to talk about stuff. So I'm like, man, that's crazy. That's tough. Oh man, I hate to hear that. Boom. So but some of the stuff I'm dealing with too. So I'm like, oh yeah, you dealing with that too. So we get to talking. And so again, just on a random day, we're in the meeting, and a few of the people who looked at me, well, had been talking to me, looking at me, and I'm just like, oh, they want me to say something. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll speak up on it. So I spoke up on like the raises and stuff like that. And again, the store manager, he's looking at me and he doesn't really know what to say. So at the end of that meeting, he pulled me to the side and he was like, hey man, everybody's money situation is different. We really don't like to have those conversations in front of everybody because everybody's situation is different. And I'm like, okay, cool, but nobody's having these conversations. It would be different if y'all were having these conversations. This is what I'm telling them. It would be different if y'all was having these conversations with everybody one-on-one in private, but y'all aren't having these conversations. Y'all aren't telling anybody anything. Y'all aren't talking to us. Y'all aren't letting us know we were supposed to have like a 90-day evaluation. Nobody, nothing. We've had nothing. And so he was like, okay, who's your manager? And I was like, I'm pointing everybody out. And they were like, okay, we're gonna get with them. And sure enough, literally like maybe a week later, everybody has their 90-day evaluations or whatever. And then maybe a week later, people are coming up to me, hey, did you see your check? You seen your check stub? It went up. It went up like 50 cents or something like that. I was like, no, I'm not. I hadn't seen it. I wasn't paying because I wasn't expecting it. And so everybody's just kind of looking at me like, oh man, we got our raises because of what you said. So now everybody's coming to me about problems that they're having at work. Every single day I'm hearing about this. I'm hearing about the people who came through like staffing agencies, the temps, you know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be after a certain amount of time, they're supposed to the company needs to decide, hey, we're taking them on permanently or what we doing, and they weren't doing that. So it was just like I just became the person who just spoke up about everything, you know what I'm saying? So that was just like one of those times where you get pushed into a situation where it's uncomfortable because I didn't want to speak, but well, I just wanted to speak on my problems, you know what I'm saying? But now I'm at a point where I'm speaking on problems that I don't even have anything because I was a permanent hire. I was a direct hire through the company. I didn't go through a temp agency, but because there were so many people who saw, hey, he's willing to step up, he's willing to talk, and results are happening. We're getting points taken away because he spoke up. We're getting our 50-cent raises because he was willing to speak up. So now everybody wants me to speak up. So now, just naturally, because I just wanted to stay in my position and do what I do, but life is going to put you in positions where you got to evolve, where you have to grow. You know what I'm saying? And so that was just one of those things and one of those times. And now people are looking at me differently. People are looking at me like I'm a union rep or something, or, I'm a leader and things like that. So, but that also changed the way I looked in management eyes. Some people didn't like me because of that. Other people loved that. Okay, he's willing to speak up. He's willing to talk. Okay, I need to go talk to him. I need to see what's going on with him. So now I'm sitting down with more management because of that. And I feel like if I would have stayed there long enough, I could have been in a management position. I could have been in a leadership position because of things that had nothing to do with me, so just people feeling like, okay, he's the one to go to. He's the one who's willing to speak up. And, because there were so many people after I spoke up about the point thing, they're like, man, I wanted to say something. Or, man, I was wondering when they was going to start doing this and doing that. And then I don't even want to talk about after the raise thing. And especially once we got it, everybody started coming to me about every problem that they had. And it's just like, y'all do realize I'm not a part of HR. I'm not a part of leadership. I can't do anything. The only thing I can do is bring it up to them and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? But that's just an example of sometimes life is going to push you forward, even though you want to stand still, even though you're comfortable where you are, you don't want to move. You don't mind being, and mind you, I'm saying a lot of this stuff is subconsciously because I don't think there may be people who do say in their heads, I don't want to move. I don't mind being stagnant. But there are people who, like myself, who subconsciously, when we get comfortable, hey, we digging in, we growing roots here. We don't want to move. You know what I'm saying? It's not the thought of I want to be stagnant, but it's just the thought of I love comfort so much that if being stagnant is a byproduct of it, then so be it. But we're not actively thinking, hey, I want to stay stagnant. We're just thinking, hey, I love comfort. I love a routine. I love being able to know what my day is going to look like, and or what my week is going to look like, what my weekend is going to look like. You get way too comfortable with being comfortable, and so that's just what happened. With me, got way too comfortable with being comfortable, and so sometimes it gets to the point to where you sabotage yourself because you feel yourself having to do things in a way you don't want to do them, or do them on the timeline you don't want to do, or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of like what it was when I got that call about orientation being on a day that it's like, okay, this ain't happening soon enough for me. But even when I get out of that mindset of that reactive, it's not going the way I wanted to go, let me go do something different. Even once I get out of that and I start to think, okay, cool, it's not happening when I want. What job am I going to realistically find where they're going to tell me, okay, we want you to start tomorrow? it's a process regardless. You know what I'm saying? And so I just had to kind of I had to get out of my head because man, that need to self sabotage when something good is going on, whether it could be, and I don't know what it is. You know, I've been talking to some of my friends and things like that, and some of them go through it, and it's just sometimes you don't feel like you deserve it, you don't feel like you've earned it, I don't know what it is. I don't know what that thing is that makes us just naturally, hey, the moment we hear something that we don't want to hear, okay, it's all bad. You may hear one piece of, and it's not even bad news, it's just news that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? It's not bad news that orientation is a week from now. It's just news. That's all it is. Not good or bad. Actually, it's good news because you have a set date. So it's actually good news. But the way I'm perceiving it through my ears and my mind, in that moment, in that instant, I turned it into bad news, and I turned it into, okay, I need to do something different. This isn't good enough. I don't like this. And all it is, hey, you're just starting a little later than you want to start, but hey, you're starting. You got it. You got the job. You know what I'm saying? So it should have been a day to be happy, to be thankful, to be appreciative. But in that moment, because I still am thankful, I still am happy, I still am appreciative. But in that moment, it was just, okay, this isn't what I wanted to hear. Let me now blow this up and go find something else or go do something else. And it's just like, I don't know, literally, like I said, literally on the drive to the gym with my mom, I'm just like, man, that self destruction thing, whatever it is, that spirit, whatever it may be, that that thing is crazy, and it can go wild. It can grab a hold of you quick before you even know it, before you even had a chance to think and to process anything. You could be self-sabotaging yourself. You could be trying to sabotage something that you got going on with, like, whether it's work, relationships, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It can happen so quickly. So you got to be careful with that. You have to be appreciative of the things, again, even if they're not going the way you want them to go, or they're not moving the way you want them to move. They're not going in the direction that you want them to go in. But if you're going in a positive direction, if you're moving forward, if you're growing, if you're getting better, if that person is making you better, if that person is forcing you to grow, that's a good thing. It may not always feel good, because sometimes, again, as we discussed, when you're moving forward, when you're growing, you have to go through discomfort. That's a part of growing. So there are going to be times when it doesn't feel good to grow. It doesn't feel good to achieve. It doesn't feel good on the path to success, but that's a part of the process. That's a part of growing. You got to go through that discomfort. That's a part of life. Life is going to have uncomfortable moments. You survived all the ones up to now. You're going to continue to survive, but we have to go through them. You know what I'm saying? We can't pause life forever, because as I've talked about, there are times when we're okay. Hey, I'm at a point where I'm happy. I'm making the money that I want to make. I'm in a nice living situation. Hey, I'm good. But there are people around you moving. And as the people around you are moving, it's going to at some point force you to move, make you move, put you in situations where you feel like you have to move. And as comfortable as you may be, hey, life is still going. The people around you are still going. Your family's still going. Friends are still going. People are still moving. And at some point, you realize that, hey, I have to move if I want to keep going. Or even if it's not even if I want to keep going, life wants me to keep going. There are just situations and circumstances that want me to keep going, and I can't avoid it. I can't sit still in every aspect of my life. I have to move in certain aspects. Certain aspects of my life, I'm going to have to move. I'm in a relationship. My partner is one of those type of people who want to go, hey, I'm going to have to figure it out, because I got to move when it comes to my relationship. And then as I start to move forward and progress in my relationship, other parts of my life are going to move too, just naturally. You got to grow. You got to keep going. You got to keep moving. And yes, you're going to go through those patches of discomfort. They happen, but you can't avoid them. Only thing that you can do to avoid them is, like I said, move backwards. That's the only way to completely avoid it, is to move backwards. But I feel like the problem with that is you're going to move backwards so much that at some point that becomes uncomfortable. At some point, you know, that job ain't enough, or that living situation ain't enough, or that car, that neighborhood, whatever it is, isn't enough. So now you're uncomfortable. And now I got to move over here and you got to face this discomfort to grow. So I think we try to avoid discomfort, and there's no avoiding it. It's just a part of life. It's just a part of living. You go through hard times. It's just another part of the process. It's things that you got to go through. So, man, I just say all that to say, stop avoiding that discomfort, because it's a part of growing. It's a part of helping you to grow into who you're meant to be. And it's the part of helping you to get to the places you want to go to, the places you're meant to go to. You got to go through some things to get to where you want to go. And for those people who have that self-sabotaging spirit, we got to work on that. We got to stay humble. We got to stay appreciative. That's not to say if you're going through something or you get into something new and it doesn't feel right. That's not to say, hey, if you know it don't feel right in your spirit, something ain't right. That's not me telling you not to try to figure out what's going on and how to change it or to leave. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is before you've even had a chance to experience it, before you've even had a chance to try it, you're trying to sabotage it. That's what I'm talking about. You're trying to sabotage it before you've even given it a chance to see if it's worth it. That's where we got to stop. That's what we have to work on that. You know what I'm saying? At least give it a chance. And if it isn't for you, it isn't for you. If it don't make you feel good, something don't feel right, hey, that's fair. But before you've even given it a chance, you're already writing it off. You don't know what that could have led to. But so we gotta work on that. And I mean, I'm one of those people too. But that's it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. I appreciate all the love that I've been receiving. And to everybody watching on YouTube, same thing. I appreciate all the love that I've been receiving, all the views. And please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe to videos and the wherever you downloading or listening to the audio podcast. Please continue to share it. And again, thank y'all for the love. And until the next time we meet, y'all already know, stay blessed.